Okay, welcome everybody to today's Empowered Women's Coaching Call. Happy 2020. It's the new decade, not just the new year, the new decade. And this is the perfect call to start the year off with as well. It's now been a year since I've been hosting this call, and yeah, it's just been an incredible process for me and my growth. First of all, I hope that it has contributed value to your life too, but it certainly contributed a lot to mine, and I'm really excited to continue to show up this year and beyond and continue to grow this community and bring even more value to you. And I'm excited to start with our vision and our mission statement together, because we really can create whatever we want moving forward. And, 2020 is the start of anything that you want. And a mission statement is going to help you with that. It's going to help you really nut out what it is that you want from your life moving forward in the short term and the long term. And not only that, it is going to help you stay on track towards that, because life is going to continue to throw many obstacles and distractions and bright, shiny objects in the way. And it's going to continue to test you so that you continue to grow. And it's going to test how much you want the things that you say you want and the growth that you say you want. Nothing will change if you're not willing to get outside your comfort zone. So please do not be here today, just wanting to recreate what you've already experienced, or to have some really soft, easy mission statement written out where you just get to be all cozy in your comfort zone, because I promise you, you will not feel the reward from that. Okay, so I am going to challenge you to stretch yourself, to certainly have a vision for what is possible, but the truth is anything is possible. And we're also going to reverse engineer some things as well, so that you can have big vision, but most importantly, create a step-by-step process for you to achieve what you really want in the long term, so that you feel like you're winning along the way and you don't feel overwhelmed looking at your goals. So you really do have to have a nice balance between the two. I really loved what one of my mentors said around our vision workshop, which we held recently, which was create the grandest possible vision for your life, because we become what we believe. And it is so incredibly true and such a powerful statement. What you focus on every day, what you tell yourself every day, what you read, the company that you keep and what they're telling you every day, this is what is going to come to fruition in your life. So it is really important that you set yourself up for success with rituals like the mission statement, where you're feeding your mind with the right information that you want to see in your future. Okay. Now, a lot of people will think that something like this, journaling mission statement, is something that's really fluffy, like spending 5 minutes of your time every day to read where you want to go and who you want to be. Like, if you can't find 5 minutes to do that and to powerfully shape your future, then you have to ask yourself. I heard another quote the other day that, I want you to get what you work for, not what you deserve, because you deserve what you work for. So if you're not willing to spend 5 minutes every single day working towards your vision, checking in on yourself, realigning yourself, then you don't deserve something different. You don't deserve something greater, because you're not choosing to show up for yourself to create that. Okay, so this is your opportunity right now to choose that path forward, that you are going to show up for yourself, that you are going to choose to realign yourself. I'm a mother, I'm a woman. I have days where I'm way off track. I have days where I feel like I'm crazy. I have days where I lose it. I have days where I forget my purpose, where I forget my personal power, where I doubt myself. I have the neg ferret voice in my head, just like every single one of you. But I have rituals every day, such as my mission statement, that helps me to get back on track and realign myself when I'm not in my best state. Okay. So, I just really hope that you will implement this, that you will see the power in it, that you'll at least give it 21 days to create a new habit, and see how much it impacts you in a positive way. I really have a strong desire, passion, and vision for my life to support women to really step into their greatness and their worth, to know their self-worth, and to empower women to create their own financial independence. And that is not to diss men or to say that you're not in a strong, loving relationship that has longevity or any of those things. Whether you're in a healthy, committed, loving relationship, whether you're a single parent, whether wherever you are, maybe you're not even a mum yet, maybe you haven't found the love of your life yet, I strongly believe that financial independence for a woman is imperative, not just because you don't know what the future holds, but also because that is where you will truly feel a sense of power, where you will feel your strongest, that you always have your own back. It's empowering to be able to make life decisions because you have your own financial independence in order to do so. So again, this mission statement is going to help you stay on track with that. It's going to help you be creative and what's my word for the year that I've got on my vision board? Innovation. You know, whether you're a stay-at-home mum, whether you're someone who's on a career path, you know, really being creative in what you can create for your financial independence and really starting to believe in yourself that you can. Because I promise you, the more your self-worth grows, your net worth is going to grow as well, and vice versa. So in order for your self-worth to grow, you've got to be working on that net worth. One of the other things that's really important when it comes to your mission statement is to have a vision that's powerful enough to pull you towards success. So when you have the down moments, when you're doubting yourself, when you've got 10 balls in the air, like I feel like, let me know in the comments if that's you in the school holidays, you feel like you have a million balls in the air. I feel like I'm going nuts. It's the vision. Like for me, I have such a powerful vision in my business and for my team and for this community that even though there's days where I feel stressed and tired and like I'm juggling a million things, I can't stop because the vision is so much bigger than me. It gets me out of bed. It gets me up late at night, finishing projects that I'm working on for the team to help them create success, or projects that I'm working on for you guys, or getting up early to make sure that I've got content ready. And you know, it's like with your kids, like my kids mean so much to me. My vision is so powerful for who I want them to be in this world. And so therefore I create time to be present with them, and I create time to work on who I want to be as a parent. It's the same for my vision, my financial independence, my business, my growth, my contribution. My vision is so much bigger than myself for those things that it pulls me into action even on the days I don't feel like it, okay? When there's lots of distractions, and there will be when you're challenged, and you will be if your vision is only about you and it's not greater than you, it's not about growth and contribution and service, that's when you give up on yourself. But when you know that you showing up means something to somebody else, you're so much more likely to do that. So I want you to dream big with this stuff when you work on your mission statement. When you connect with your purpose, disciplining yourself is easier and quitting is not an option. So again, just what I said before, I don't need to find discipline or motivation. I'm internally inspired from within to take action because my purpose is so big that I'm not going to be quitting on myself. It's not an option. I have a team of women who I have committed to being there for, to help, you know, for the past 5 years. Quitting's not an option because I'm not quitting on myself. I'm quitting on the people that I've promised to show up for. I'm quitting on the world that I want to leave a positive impact on in some way, shape or form. Okay. And your purpose will be something that might evolve. Well, it probably will evolve. Mine certainly evolved, and it might not be something that you totally define today. So don't feel overwhelmed by that, okay? It may take you some time to really identify what that is, but hopefully we're going to shine a light with some specific questions to help you identify it today. Instant gratification versus long-term vision and success. We are a world of people who are addicted to instant gratifications. That's why you quit on yourself. That's why you pick up the TV remote instead of your mission statement in the morning, or your phone to get on social media instead of reading your mission statement. And yeah, we just give up before we even create a pathway on the way to, a vision and success. So one of the things, and I spoke about this just before, that you want to focus on with your mission statement is to have stepping stones so that you feel like you're winning along the way to the big prize that might feel way off in the distance. So for example, if you're in the same industry that I'm in, we have some really big promotions that for some people feel like such a stretch. They feel like there's so much work to be done for that to be possible. It feels like it's so far in the distance that it doesn't even feel real or possible. So to only fill your vision board and your mission statements with these huge goals, which will happen over time, but for a lot of us, that creates so much overwhelm and disbelief that we don't even start moving because it just seems impossible and it doesn't feel good right now to focus on that. So it's important that you chunk it down to things that you can achieve along the way, so you are getting that gratification, but also focusing on the long-term vision so that you're not giving up the progress to reach for the instant gratification. For me, I am inspired about the big picture, and that does make me put down the TV remote and pick up my mission statement instead. Okay. And so it has to mean something to you. It has to have so much meaning behind it. Otherwise, sitting in front of the TV is going to mean a lot more to you. Your purpose is your armor for the small and the big battles of your life. Okay. So we all have macro and micro level problems arise in life. Every single one of us, we can't escape them. Okay. The argument with the husband, the kids fighting in the background, these micro level issues and distractions that pop up every single day. If you don't put your armor on every day of reading your purpose and your mission statement, those distractions become so prominent that they distract us from doing the things, the activities that actually contribute to moving us forward and our growth. And then we all have these macro level challenges that come up from time to time too. Some are outside of our control, some are within our control, whether it be divorce. The fires in Australia right now is a macro level, large scale problem that's outside of our control, that's absolutely impacting progress for people in business, rightfully so. So if you don't have your armor on every day, if you're not setting your mindset up for success, like so many people would be feeling overwhelmed right now and thinking, what's the point? Like, our country's on fire. What's the point? I don't even feel worthy of having a purpose and a mission because there's people who are struggling and feeling challenged. But when you put your armor on every day and you remember your purpose is so much bigger than you, and actually you showing up to do what you said you were going to do impacts the world and brings more love and joy to the world, more health, whatever your mission and purpose is. My purpose and mission around empowering women helps women to have financial independence so that, when these challenges do arise, they're not so pulled off track, they're not in survival mode. So I need to show up through these things, through the macro and micro challenges. I can't let my kids arguing me and challenging my mindset, arguing with each other and challenging my mindset in the morning, derail my purpose. It's so insignificant. Their argument, me focusing on how annoying that is for the next hour, is such a waste of energy when that energy can be pouring into you guys, right? I easily could have been derailed and said, you know what? I'm going to cancel today because it's school holidays, my kids are going batty, I've got a million things to do, and I'm just, I'm not feeling my most empowered, centered self because I haven't had, my normal routine and I've got kids to look after, right? But my purpose to show up for you is so much greater than that. And I'm going to set myself up for success and time out in the day for my kids. And I've had time with them this morning and I've set them up for success. I'm not letting that derail me because my purpose is so much bigger. Okay, so your mission statement is going to be that armor. So when challenges arise, you remember where you're going and why. Now, the meaning of life is to find your purpose and gifts, and the purpose of life is to use them. So for some of you who are still confused, what is my purpose? I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you create stories around that, and then you don't take any action because that's your excuse not to take any action. The meaning of life is to find your purpose and gifts, and we're going to work on this today. The purpose of life is to give them away. If you're not feeling fulfilled and content right now, it's probably because you're not serving others with the gifts, the divine gifts that you've been put on this planet to use. I was listening to one of my mentors at the end of last year, or maybe it was just at the turn of the new year, and he said, when I'm growing and contributing, I'm happy. So when he's in growth and contribution, that's when he's happy. And I spent December not feeling my happiest self. I felt so restless because things had wound down with my business. These calls had wound down. I was spending a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to achieve for the next year. And I wasn't really in growth and service. And those two things bring me so much joy and happiness. I love the quote, "Find yourself by losing yourself in the service of others." I didn't know who I was for so many years. I lost my identity, especially when I became a mom. And through this business, I have really found myself. I love who I am, and I'm most connected with myself when I'm in service and contribution. Now, I completely understand because I've been there. When you're in survival mode, there's not a lot of headspace and heart to put into showing up and helping others because you're just trying to survive. When I was able to get myself out of survival mode by creating financial independence, I now have the space and time to put into service and contribution and growth. And I've never felt more happy or fulfilled. And when I'm not doing those things, I feel restless and unfulfilled, which I did for so many years. And I think we are a culture of self-obsession. And tell me if you can identify with this. And I still spend a lot of time in these places, okay? So this is not a judgment. This is more just an awareness of our habits as a culture. We spend so much time in self-suffering. I'm not good enough. How could they do this to me? I don't feel good. I'm tired. All the BS self-hate noises that we have in the head, right? As mothers, as women, we can go through the whole day and just be in self-obsessed suffering, non-stop chatter of negativity in our heads or self-focused chatter. Now, when we start focusing on connecting with others, loving others, giving love, right? We actually receive more love. When we focus on giving joy, we receive more joy. Right? We actually have to get out of our heads and into our hearts and be the givers in order to receive. So if you want to change how often you spend in self-suffering and that negative spiral, let me know if you can relate to this in the chat, okay? And I'm not just like the crazy one. But you have to get up every day and choose to give first. Give the love that you want to receive. Give the joy that you want to receive. Connect with others. Connect your energy with others. This is how you're going to feel your life with joy and happiness. The mission statement can keep you on track and remind you. So when we go through my mission statement, you're going to hear a lot of vision around my inner state, not just my outer world, but daily reminders of the inner state that I'm cultivating so that I can be who I want to be. Because we need daily reminders because of all the shit that's going on around us, the distractions, the kids are arguing, I'm in self-suffering again. Oh my God, these kids are driving me crazy, right? Rather than getting down on your knees and connecting with them and giving them more love and finding out what it is that they need and actually having a beautiful teaching, loving moment, which is quite possible in that moment, we're in more self-suffering. Oh my God, I'm juggling so much. How can you do this to me right now? You're so selfish. We're having all these me thoughts, right? I know all the mums can relate. So your mission statement every day, again, just realigns you to your vision for how you want to be, how much you want to give, and the love that you want to bring to the world. You're definitely going to hear that through mine. Sorry if I've missed any questions. What else? We'll get started in a second. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is your vision and your mission statement is constantly evolving. It is not fixed. So although you might take a bunch of notes now, if you actually have your laptop or computer right by you, I recommend you might even want to do these notes straight onto a Word document, because it's going to be constantly in flow and changing. Because as you achieve things, you need to be able to edit that document. As things come up in your life, you need to be able to edit them in. Maybe one day you realize you're particularly so frustrated and challenged by something and it constantly puts you in a negative state, and so you're going to write into your mission statement how you want to, the positive state that you want to cultivate around that thing that's challenging you. Okay, or maybe you've got a new business goal that you've stumbled upon, or someone that you want to show up and help and serve. You want to write that into your mission statement. So make sure that it's something that's flowing and evolving. All right, so we're going to get started. This is totally interactive. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat if you have questions. Okay, we're going to go through a bit of an exercise first. Then I'm going to read you my mission statement, and then I'm going to stay on in case you have any questions as you're working through some of this stuff, okay? All right, so we've got an hour. I can stay on for another hour if you need. The first exercises are not going to take that long. Some of you probably work well where you'll then want to go and work by yourself on it. Others might want to bounce questions on how to word things properly, okay? All right, so the first question I have for you is I want you to write a list of 5 to 7 things that you think you value most highly in your life. Okay, so what are your top values in life? As you're writing them, I'll share mine for examples. Okay, so number 1, I had love and connection. Okay, which is family, friends. Number 2 is freedom. So I have a very high value on freedom. I hated being stuck in a job back in the day. That just made me depressed. Number 3 is growth. So growing myself as a person. Number 4, I put certainty. Number 5, I put compassion. Number 6, I put grace. Number 7, I put health. So what things do you truly value in life? Okay, so the next thing that I want you to do, and you can come back to this, so when I ask you these questions, you might want to jot them down in case you want to come back and spend more time on it. What I want you to do is consider, and these steps are really important to crafting your mission statement, because sometimes we're not as clear as we think we are on what it is that we actually want more of and less of in life. Okay, so this helps to give you clarity. Consider that you have 6 months to live. What would you do with that time? Okay, what would you do? How would you spend your time? What would you be doing? Who would you be doing it with? All right, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to write that down. Close your eyes and first just visualize it. You've got 6 months to live. What would be of absolute priority that you would do with that time? Okay, so I'm going to read what I wrote back when I first did this exercise. So spend as much time as I can with my kids and family, loving them, giving my belief in them, creating magic moments with them, laughing and playing, being in nature as much as possible, taking a trip to Europe and Disney with the kids, spend some time with extended family, tell them how much I love them constantly, Share with them and my team and the world in any way I can what is truly important in life. Spend time meditating and being in the present moment. Now, what was incredibly powerful about this exercise I've just had you do is sometimes we think we know what our values are. And then when you're asked to think, what would you actually do with the last 6 months of your life? Sometimes there's an incongruency there. And this was really powerful because it helped me see that things that I thought were my values were actually life circumstances bringing out that need, and also people telling me it was my value. So for example, I had certainty as number 4. It was actually situations and people in my life that created so much uncertainty that I was hanging on to certainty, but it's actually not one of my core values. And when I thought about what I would do with the past 6 months of my life, it was nothing about creating certainty. It was about giving and loving and having freedom and just being with the people that I loved, and service, right? Magic moments and service. So it'd be interesting for you to compare what you think are your values to what your actual values are. So what I want you to do is take a highlighter or a pen if you've only got a pen, and I want you to highlight or circle the first 3 values that pop up in your last 6 months to live paragraph. So for example, mine were spending time with the kids and family. So love and connection, I got that right. Top value, love and connection. The very next thing in the second line was giving, the word giving. And I remember when I wrote this and we had to close our eyes and think about it, and I had this overwhelming urge to give and leave something with the people I loved and the people that I worked with and the community of women. What could I leave them with that would empower them and impart some love and belief and something of value to them? And so I always knew that I loved service and contribution, but what was interesting is I hadn't written it in my values when I first wrote them down before this second exercise. But this second exercise made it so clear beyond a doubt that contribution is actually one of my top values. And again, I've realized, and I realize again and again, if I'm feeling unhappy and stagnant, it's because I've stopped service and contribution in my life. And the next one was connection, freedom and connection, being in nature, and being able to do and choose what I want, and feeling connected with the earth and who I am and those things. Because I'm my best self in nature when I'm back to my natural state, and we live in this material world that really disconnects us from our truth and what's really important. And so again, for me, it was about what is real and what's really important. So let me know in the comments. The last 15 minutes blacked out. I think everyone else is okay. Let me know in the comments if you've now identified what your top 3 values are. Some of you might need to spend more time on this after the call. Maybe you need to focus without background noise and things going on. But I would love for some of you, did anyone have, let me know in the comments or I'll look at your faces, did anyone have a big aha moment that you want to share? Like I had between those 2? Anyone want to share anything? No one's going to be brave. Peter, you just popped up with your video. Did you want to share something? No. I'd love to see in the comments some of your top 3 values. Family, love and connection, travel and freedom. Beautiful, just like me. Adventure, connection, growth. Was anyone surprised? Like, for example, Alice, you've got adventure as your top one. For a lot of women and a lot of mothers, that's one of the first things to leave their life when they become a mum. And sometimes we can literally go through a whole year and have 0 adventure, but then realize, hang on a minute, this is actually one of my biggest values. And because you're not having a daily connection with it, like using a mission statement or a vision board, you're not remembering to show up every day with some kind of adventure, because you can have small adventures every day and you can plan big adventures. You know, it's the beginning of the year. Have you scheduled in your calendar some big adventure that you're going to start putting money away for and save for and plan now, so that when the time comes, you're ready for it? Because I used to be that person that never traveled overseas because we never planned for it. And now I've learned to put it in my calendar at the beginning of the year and start planning for it, and then it happens, right? Because I love adventure as well. So hopefully that gave you guys a bit of a better insight into what is actually important to you. And I'd love you to consider and come back and consider, have you done a good job of actually fulfilling on those values for yourself on a daily basis, on a micro level? And on a macro level over the year, are you hitting those points? You know, if it's a love and connection, I hit that every day by making sure that I spend half an hour with my girls, usually in the evening, asking about their day, connecting with them, creating conversation, asking what they're grateful for, meditating with them. You know, there's daily things that I do for that. And then there's larger scale things that I do. Like, you know, I did a beautiful private art class for my mum and my grandma and my girls when they were here. And it was a beautiful love and connection moment, beautiful magic moment, right? Okay. I want you to spend more time on that if you didn't get clarity over that. But I'm loving reading. We all have a lot of similar values, which is really nice. Okay, so think about, this is the next step. Think about what you loved to do as a child. What made your heart beat? What made you want to get out of bed in the morning? And what did you do or want to do every time you had the opportunity? Now, again, especially for the mothers, but also for those of you who aren't mothers, just life, you know, just adulting, right? You have all these responsibilities. And usually who we were as a child between the ages of 0 and 8 was actually our true self. And many of us have lost who we truly are because life has shaped us in different ways. Our peers have shaped us. Adults have told us who we should be. We've been told off and beaten up for certain traits that weren't, you know, for example, I was very loud and opinionated. Teachers didn't like that. So that one was beaten out of me, right? Which is actually a great life skill when you're an adult. So I've had to really cultivate getting that back. So what things did you love to do as a child? Because chances are they're actually a part of who you are today, but you have neglected them. So I want you to write a list. Go to town. Write as many things right now that you can think of. I'll read you my list. It might trigger some memories. Horse riding. I was obsessed with horses. If you follow me on Instagram, I have brought that love and obsession back into my life as an adult, and it has been so fulfilling and rewarding to do so. Rollerblading. I'm taking my kids to the skate park tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're going because of me or my kids, but they do want to go. So camping, fishing, snorkeling. You know, when I wrote this list, I remembered clearly again how important being in nature is to me. Because we can go through a whole month and not step in nature in our busy concrete world, right? And I don't think a human being can be happy living like that. Music. I was obsessed with music and listening to music. I was obsessed with dancing. When's the last time you've danced like no one is watching, or even better, like 1 million people are watching and you don't give a shit? That's way more empowering than dance like no one's watching, right? I loved hanging out with friends. I loved reading books. I loved writing. I loved being creative and doing art. I loved playing sport. I loved jumping on the trampoline. I loved it when we had a trampoline. I'd go and jump on it with the kids because it would just bring out this playful spirit that we lose as we grow older. I loved being out and about in the neighborhood exploring. I loved having sleepovers and just playing games and bike riding. So it was a lot of activity, a lot of sport, moving my body, a lot of nature, music, dancing. So creativity and movement and nature is a very strong theme. Let me know in the comments if you have a really strong theme, and let me know if you've realized there's a lot of things that bring you so much joy that you have just completely neglected in your life, right? Because it can be as simple as put some fun music on in the morning and dance around in your pajamas. That can create a lot of joy. I think as women, the thing that we're most guilty of when we become mums especially, but again, just adulting, that is especially detrimental not only to our happiness and sense of self, but also our relationships, is we lose our playfulness and flexibility. And this is one of the sexiest qualities in a woman, is her free-flowing, happy, fun nature. Like I don't know if you've ever had a man look at you, or your significant other look at you when you giggle and you laugh, and you can just see the love in his eyes in that moment. Or he might even say, I love it when you laugh. That really turns me on. Or like, so often we become so serious. Let me know again, can you relate that you've become so damn serious? Life isn't fun. You aren't fun. Like, I wasn't enjoying myself, let alone expecting my partner to be enjoying my company. Like, I realized I wasn't even enjoying my own company. So again, in my mission statement, I'm reminding myself of the things to do daily that bring out a sense of fun and adventure and playfulness, not only because I like myself better, but I'm much nicer to be around, right? No one wants to be with serious Sally, right? And we're all guilty of being serious Sally a lot of the time. All right. Step 3. What are your superpowers? I love this step. Recognize what you bring to the table. What are you talented at? Some of you are going to struggle with this. What traits and characteristics have you gained from your past experiences? What skills and tools have you picked up along the way? What are your areas of special knowledge, insight, and wisdom? Now, I am going to call BS on all of you right now, because if you write 2 things, that's bullshit, okay? You have a long list of things that you are amazing at, from small, little, insignificant things to really big things that are your gifts that you bring to the world that can change people's lives, okay? So right now, I want you to go to town loving yourself, so that if there was someone reading this next to you, they would think, oh my God, she's so in love with herself, right? Because when I read you my mission statement, you guys are going to be, oh my God, you are so into yourself, right? But you need to be able to acknowledge yourself, all right? I will repeat it. So I spent so much of my last relationship needing to be acknowledged, because I wasn't acknowledging myself. I didn't love myself, and I was desperate for validation from others. And I was desperate for it from people who didn't have the capacity to give it. And even if they did, ego and frustration would have gotten in the way. And so what I've learned in the past 12 months is to not seek or need validation from others, and to truly be able to appreciate myself. If I've done a good job, I know I've done a good job. You don't need to hear it from another. You need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and know that you are enough, and tell yourself that you've done an awesome job. And that's what this is about, is acknowledging yourself, because you are going to live in pain forevermore if you constantly seek it from another, okay? So right now, I want you to validate yourself. Write a long list of the things that are your superpowers that you bring to this world that are unique to you. You've got to stop the comparison game. We are not meant to be the same. How freaking boring would it be if we all had the same gifts? So when you're on Instagram having an inner bitch moment, going, oh my God, either being a neg ferret on someone because it makes you feel insignificant because they're shining in some way, or you just being a neg ferret on yourself because you're in comparison mode, right? Rather than realizing how amazing that woman has those gifts and she's shining bright. That actually shows that I can too. She's actually giving me permission to shine in my own right. So you bring gifts that complement others. We're meant to be complementary, not the same. And particularly if you're in the industry I'm in, that's how you build an empire, by having a team of women who have different gifts to share, right? That's how you have a strong team, by bringing different things to the table, not by all being like Kira, right? That doesn't build an empire. That doesn't build a strong team, and that's boring. Okay, so these are my superpowers, and I'm so in love with myself when I say them, and I'm not ashamed to say it, okay? I'm proud of my gifts. Kindness, empathy, and compassion, connection, I strive for excellence. I used to be a perfectionist. Some of you have heard this story. And a coach of mine said, you must always be in pain and feel disappointed. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, nothing's ever perfect, so you must be letting yourself down on a daily basis. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm constantly in pain around it. And he said, why don't you change your story to I strive for excellence? It's a much more empowering statement than I'm a perfectionist. Okay, because you can strive for excellence, but nothing's ever going to be perfect. I love writing. I'm really good at understanding situations and reading between the lines and having common sense and those kind of things. So I wouldn't say like I'm intelligent in terms of knowing lots of things. My intelligence and superpower is more like intuition and common sense and that kind of thing. I've always been very independent, and I think that's what's created the life I have today, because I've always walked to the beat of my own drum. I don't really follow the rules of the world, and I love that about myself, that I think outside the box and I create my own box rather than replicating the one the world tells me to do. Cooking, communicating, I'm good at following directions. I actually love to have directions more than I love to be the visionary. And that's why it worked so well in my previous relationship, because he was the visionary and he would have the vision and then give me directions, and I'm really good at doing the directions. So when you identify how you work well like that, it's good, especially when you're in business, because you can set yourself up for success and release expectations. Like for me now, being a solo person in my business, I've come to terms with that visionary aspect just isn't my skill set, to stop wasting time trying to be it, because I'm not everything, and just focus on what I am good at. That's my superpower. Okay. Teaching, I believe, is my divine gift in life. So if I had to nail down what is the gift I bring to the world that is my, thing to share and that gives me joy, it's teaching. And I'm creative and I have attention to detail. So that's me loving on myself and my superpowers. So I want you to give me your top 3 in the chat. Now, if you got 2 things out and then got stuck, you really need to do some work on this after, okay? Bringing laughter to others. I love that. That's actually one of my favorite, that's one of the things I seek in a relationship, actually. They need to be funny. They need to make me laugh. Love those things. Okay, so again, I want you to come back to this and really make it a full, like we're not gonna finish all this today. You've got to spend time on this, okay, and fill it out more. All right, so the next step number 4. You may not believe it, but you're always on track with your mission. Perhaps in some cases, your perceptions tell you otherwise. In answering the following question, consider the different segments of your life, which I'm going to give you, and what are you doing now? What activities do you participate in now that you consider your mission? What things are you most passionate about in your life right now? So what you focus on, you manifest, okay? So whether you believe in that energetically, or whether you just get shit done because you're focused on it, okay? So we have, first of all, there's 3 key areas. I want you guys to write these down, because when you write your mission statement, you want to make sure that you're hitting all of these key areas. So if you can imagine a circle, I'll just show you the picture, see if you can see that. You've got the inner circle here, and then the outer circle, okay? So the inner circle says mental. By the way, I just need to acknowledge this is from MJB seminars, okay? I've done so many workshops where we've worked on a mission statement, and none of them has been anywhere near as powerful as this process, okay? Now, you can follow them on social media. If they did it with you, they'd take you to a whole nother level, okay? I'm just giving you an overview, but I must credit MJB. Okay, so the inner circle is mental, spiritual, and physical. So when you're doing your mission statement, you want to make sure that you hit all of those areas. So I have a spiritual vision in my mission statement. I have a mental vision for how I'm showing up with my mindset, and a physical vision as well, whether it be materialistic physical, or, your physical health, or, family, being around, whatever that is. Now, the outer circle, I want you to write these these key areas of your life down that you want to focus on. You've got your family relationships, vocational relationships, career relationships, financial relationships, global social relationships, and personal social relationships, which is like your friends. Oh, and one more, sexual relationships. So I have a very strong, clear vision for my sexual relationships, spiritually, mentally, and physically as well, right? Because you want that to be dynamic and amazing. And again, how many of us let that slide in our relationship or when we become mums, right? If you don't focus on it being amazing, it's not going to be. If you don't create time for it and a vision for how you want it to be, it's just going to be lackluster or non-existent, even worse, right? You cannot have powerful, fulfilling relationships with a significant other without that being a standout. Okay, you want a 10 out of 10 in that department, no matter how long you've been together for. It is possible, but it's up to you to focus on it. Okay, so when I go through my mission statement, which I'm going to go through soon, you're going to see me hit all of those key areas. So I'm going to let you come back and reflect on that for time's sake. Okay, but I wanted to give you those key areas. But have a think about what you're already doing in those departments that bring you joy, because that's going to highlight what it is that's going to bring you more joy if you focus more on it. Okay, and it's also going to highlight what have you not been focusing on. And quite often, ladies, it's the sexual relationship and perhaps just the relationship with your significant other. It might be career, it might be financial. Maybe you've got this bullshit belief like I did that the finances is a man's responsibility. That one screwed me over big time, having that belief, I can tell you that much. Okay. So if you had no, this is step 5, we're getting there. If you had no financial restrictions or other commitments and were free to do whatever you wanted, what would you love to do? Okay, so if you had no financial or time restrictions or commitments, what would you love to do with your time? So for me, it's connect with family and friends more. Serve more, right? So usually when you're not having time and financial commitments, that's when you think about how could I serve the community. Parent more consciously and be more present. Spend more time in nature, travel, cook and entertain friends more. Create more things, do more art, go horse riding, focus more on my growth. Take the kids to Disneyland and Canada. And then step 6 to extend on that is what would you love to receive for fulfilling your mission? Consider how your relationships would look, how your financial situation would look, how your social interactions and physical well-being would look. Be detailed in expressing how you would like to be rewarded for fulfilling your mission. I'm not going to spend too much time here because this needs to be really well thought out. But I'm going to give you my example when I read the mission statement. I'm very clear on what I want my life to look like because of how I show up to fulfill my mission. Okay, so what do you want? Where do you want to live? What do your relationships look like? You know, do you have investments? Do you take family holidays? What does your health look like? What does your inner state look like? What does your community look like? Your friendships? Your mental well-being, your financial literacy, your relationship with your significant other. Okay, so now we're going to get into, so that question was, what would you love to receive for fulfilling your mission? Consider how your relationships would look, your financial situation, your social interactions, your physical well-being. Be detailed in expressing how you would like to be rewarded for fulfilling your mission. So you guys can go back and watch this recording. But one thing I do want to touch on here is you've got to work on your bullshit I'm not worthy stories. Because if you don't feel worthy and you have a very tight glass ceiling on what you allow into your life, then you're not going to attract what you're capable of attracting. So for example, if you go and put $50,000 a month on your mission statement, but you can barely receive $1,000 without thinking you're not worthy of it, there is zero chance you're going to grow an income beyond that. So you have to be feeling worthy of what you want to receive. And that's why the step-by-step is really important. It's fine to have that long vision, but make sure you also have things that you feel worthy of. And if that is making you, doubt when you read it, like it doesn't even seem possible, like you actually have to believe it. Your vibration when you read it has to match the vibration of receiving and gratitude and excitement and happiness and possibility. Okay, otherwise you're not going to attract those things. So if you have bullshit money stories, if you think that anyone who has more is evil or must have screwed someone over, the truth is those who add more value receive more value back. That is the truth of the world. Some people have more than you because they've added more value. Not that they're more valuable, so don't get me wrong, okay? We're all valuable, but they're showing up in service and adding more value to the world. And that's how the world works, is you receive value back, okay? Whether it's financially, whether it's energetically. Like one of the things for me is I get so many flowers. I get sent lots of beautiful flowers because I love to help and contribute to women. And that's one of the things that I receive a lot of. And, I have gotten, at first it made me feel uncomfortable, but now I just graciously receive that. And I'm so filled with gratitude. And I absolutely love that that's one of the ways that I receive. And I receive that because I show up every week and, and give to people who want to show up, right? I don't have an expectation on who shows up. I know I have a lot of growing to do. I know I don't always say the right things, but I'm willing to show up anyway. And hopefully what I say helps someone, right? So it's the law of, what's the word? I can never say it. I'm not going to try and say it. But when you give, you will receive back energetically, okay? So you have to work on that. You've got to work on your self-worth around it, okay? And you might word some things in your mission statement to help with that. And you'll hear some of that in mine. It is like the law of, it's reciprocity. I can't say it. It starts with an R. It's not receiving. It's like that. Okay, the clarity. I'm way more intelligent in written form than spoken form. That's another one of my superpowers. If I wrote this training out, it would sound a lot more intelligent than me speaking it, unfortunately. The clarity of your purpose is never missing. It's constantly being guided to you every day. When the why is big enough, the how takes care of itself. So your divine mission statement is one of the most powerful and life-changing texts you will ever write. Don't underestimate that. Remember that when we put pen to paper, we are making an agreement with ourselves and the universe. Okay. These are some key points. I need you. Yes. Thank you, Sky. And Jenna and anyone else that wrote that. I need you guys to write these down. This is extremely important because you can really mess yourself up with this, with your mission statement. You must always write in the present tense as if it's already done. I am, I have, I do, I give, I love, I feel, I receive. Not I'm going to, not I have to, not I hope to. None of those words must be present tense as if it's already done. Okay? I am, I have, I do, I give, I love, I feel, I receive. Secondly, do not use words like need, should, ought, want, could, might, would, as they are always in accordance with someone else's perceptions and expectations. They're a sure sign that you are measuring your direction and purpose in somebody else's eyes so as to please them or make them feel proud. Your mission statement is about you, and your words, these words indicate that what you're doing is derived from a place of decision, not choice. You will add to, change, and clarify your mission statement as you move through life. So be prepared to revise it regularly and have it in an editable form. And you'll refine it as you go. And you'll continue to work on yourself, and your soul's divine mission will become clearer and clearer over time. So don't put so much expectation on yourself. You have to get it perfect, because I know so many of you in the last year didn't work on this because it wasn't going to be perfect, right? It's not meant to be. You keep changing it every day if you need to. One of the most difficult things to acknowledge is what you would like to receive as your fulfilling life's purpose. Remember to be as clear and detailed as possible. Okay. So there's some guidelines that you're going to chunk your mission statement down as. I'm going to give you those, and then I'm going to read you mine as an example. Then I'm going to stay on and help you guys with any questions. So the first one that you're going to start with, so just imagine that your mission statement is going to be divided in 4 chunks. The first one is I, and you put your name, state that my primary purpose is. So you're going to write what your purpose is, okay? What you currently know your purpose to be, okay? This will evolve and change. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Now, when I read mine, you're going to see that I address many areas of my life. I have a purpose and spiritual vision for my kids. I have a purpose for this community. I have a purpose in my business. I have a purpose for myself, okay? The next chunk is in order to fulfill my mission. Oh, actually, sorry, I've put in the chunk about what I love to do with my time, okay? Because I want to remind myself every day to be childlike, to bring fun into my life. So that second chunk lists the things that you love to do. The third one is in order to fulfill my mission, I have to offer. I call that my superpowers. So in order to fulfill my mission, my superpowers are. And the last chunk is by this process I receive. Now, we were given a much workspace to just fill this and jot it down and write lots of notes. And then I went to a Word document and just played around with it. Okay, so this should take time. This should take several hours for you to even just have something to start with. I'm going to read through one of my older mission statements, okay, because there is a lot of personal stuff in it, and I'm still, and I'm always refining it. So I've just pulled out one of my earlier ones. And I'm going to talk you through those sections as I read it, okay? Now, your purpose and values may be completely different to mine. It's not about comparison. It's not about judgment. I'm just giving you an example, okay? If anything feels good to you, then write those examples down, okay? And you can word them into your own mission statement. And there's a few key things I have to highlight as I'm reading it that I need you to write down that are really important. Okay. I, Kira Love, state that my primary purpose is to parent presently each day, and I am dedicated to the spiritual vision, growth, and well-being of my children. Now, I recently, or actually probably more than a year ago now, I did a course where they talked about the importance of having a spiritual vision for your children. So I have a spiritual vision for my life and my growth, but until my children are of awareness to do that for themselves, as a parent, it's actually my obligation to hold a spiritual vision for them. That's why I meditate with them. That's why I teach them gratitude, because I have a vision for who I want them to be. I want them to have a beautiful inner state by default, because they haven't learned stressful anxiety coping mechanisms. They've learned how to cultivate a beautiful state because I'm leading by example, because I'm teaching that to them. Now, there are days where I feel like I've been a shit parent and not a conscious one, right? And then in the morning I wake up and I read this and it reminds me, that's really important to me. What am I going to do today that's going to be parenting presently and consciously? How am I cultivating a beautiful spiritual inner state for them today? Right? So it pulls you back on track. I'm a loving and devoted partner and lover who feels free and open to express myself. This freedom allows my partner to step into their greatness too. I love and give to myself first, which allows me to love others even more deeply. Now, when I first wrote this, I didn't have a partner in my life. But I'm writing it in the tense that I do, because that is what I desire, a relationship like that, when the universe feels that I'm ready for that, okay? And that, again, is reminding me how I want to show up. I want to show up flexible and in my femininity and to be open. So many women close themselves in their relationship, and it's one of the most detrimental things you can do with a man. Also, loving myself first. You cannot receive love more than what you love yourself? How much pressure do you put on your partner because you don't love yourself? Constantly demanding and needing more love from him for him to say it more and show it more because you actually just don't love yourself. Again, totally ruins your relationship. There's so much pressure to put on a man that is actually your responsibility to fulfill. Okay, so again, I'm reminding myself of this. I surrender, something very powerful in a relationship, a very feminine thing to do. I surrender and I'm a feminine, empowered goddess. I am the flower. So a tip that one of my friends gave me around dating is you're the flower, the bees come to you. You don't chase, you attract, right? You just be your best self, right? It's the man's job to, even in a relationship, it's the man's job to pursue. Your job, ladies, is to be your beautiful self. Be a flower every day. Surrender in your beauty, your spiritual beauty, your physical beauty. That is what is attractive, but it's also what feels good when you release control and you've come back to flexibility. It feels good. I am authentic in my interactions. I never used to be. I'm playful, cheeky, and fun. I don't chase, I attract. What belongs to me will find me. It is my responsibility, this is a big one for me, it is my responsibility to break the lineage of poverty in my family. I follow the wealth principles, create wealth, and I'm financially intelligent and free. I feel and grow rich. So part of my purpose in my life is to break that lineage and make sure that my girls have financial intelligence, because I was not gifted that from my family. So that's part of my purpose. My purpose is to be a light for others, leading the way with grace and humility, showing love without expectation, and I gratefully accept and sow blessings into others. I expand my vision of possibility daily, which in turn inspires those around me to do so. I empower women around the world to find their voice, worth, and financial independence. I help them embrace their feminine power. I lead teams of people with calm courage, and I serve at the highest level. I serve my family and the community with health education and help families build healthy food cultures within their homes, impacting a generation to come back to the wisdom of whole food. Now, when I'm tired and can't be bothered and I read that, like when you understand, because it's my passion, I understand how poorly children are doing today because of the junk that they're eating from supermarkets. And I read that, I'm reminded this is my purpose. I need to educate more families. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to feel tired, right? Yes, I'll take time out for myself and have balance and all of those things, but I don't give up because it's actually not about me, right? So when you find your purpose and passion, you have a need to show up. Like people are literally dying because of this, because they don't have healthy food cultures in their home, right? I'm very passionate about that. I feel flexible, balanced, and in alignment, and I ground and nourish my soul with spiritual, emotional, and personal growth, which allows me to show up in my potential. I let go and trust the universe has my back. I'm filled with self-love and therefore make good choices. I know the truth of who I am. Okay, this is important. Whatever means you are working on, that is the financial aspect that allows you to show up in your purpose, you have to tie it in. So if I didn't tie my business to my purpose, then the universe would think that it wasn't important and it would get rid of it. Okay. So my business serves all avenues of my purpose, and I'm continually inspired to make a difference. I step into my magnificence and I allow others to do so. I'm a powerful queen who serves and protects her kingdom. Okay, when I stepped into becoming an independent mum, I was scared shitless of what that meant to have to provide for myself. My coach gave me a very empowering I am statement of being a queen who is protecting and serving her kingdom. I have my own kingdom to serve now. And so that feels powerful to me. But my business serves all avenues of my purpose. My business gives me the time freedom and the energy to show up as a conscious parent. It gives me the growth and spiritual growth aspect that is within my purpose. It gives me the financial support that I need to create financial independence and then show my children how to do the same. So my business truly serves every aspect of my purpose that I just read. You have to tie it in together. It's really important. Okay. The next section, I love to spend my time connecting and being supported in nature. I love to ride horses, dance freely, connect with friends and family, cook, create, read, write, laugh, stretch, move freely, and travel the world to breathtaking places. I make magic moments a reality with my family. I enjoy nice things, concerts, parties, walking on the beach, breathing, creating wealth and investing. I love having fun. Now, this reminds me to say yes to the concert, to invite friends over for dinner, to book in the horse riding lesson. Like, it just reminds me to do the things that bring me joy. Because if you're just working and having no play, no one wants to live that life. All right, the next section. This is where you go to town loving yourself. In order to fulfill my mission, I bring many gifts. My superpowers are love, kindness, and compassion for myself and others. I am a humble, grateful, and inspired, influential leader. I have the ability to connect deeply and listen with understanding. I feel the energy of others, and I help people feel seen and heard. I love to serve and give generously to myself and others. I am creative, show attention to detail, and I complete tasks with excellence. I'm a critical thinker and use common sense wisely, which allows me to absorb information and understand knowledge and situations with ease. And I follow directions well. I work smart. I am an excellent writer, creator, and cook. My divine gift in life is I am a teacher, and I'm called upon to teach the lessons I personally learn, passing on the wisdom I acquire on my own journey. I don't conform to conventional thinking. I'm a free thinker with an awake and open mind, and I know the truth of who I am. I have the gift of unlimited potential. I'm intuitive, and this keeps me safe and grounded. My vulnerability is my greatest strength. I'm an open and generous and gifted lover. I emanate and shine and help others do the same. I'm an empowered, high-value woman, strong yet graceful, standing in my greatness, yet humble, connected, and kind. I have respectful boundaries, and I communicate like a high-value woman. Now, that bit was really important in the dating world, is reminding myself about respecting myself, having boundaries, communicating, and behaving like a high-value woman, because seriously, the behavior in the dating world is disgusting. And I really have earned the respect of some really amazing people that I got to meet through the year, and I got to have a fun experience dating because I really, first of all, I empowered myself around knowledge of how the dating apps work and how dating works, and I set myself up for success with that and how men behave, what the expectations are, but also around how women were behaving that was bringing the worst out in men and how we can bring the best out in them. So I think sometimes as women, you know, we have that need to be loved, to be validated. It's important that we're reminding ourselves to do that for ourselves, to keep boundaries, that if we're not being treated by men and women, friends, work environments, if we're not being treated, you know, around, like for me, I have to behave like a high value woman to be treated like one. You know, I can't go on a first date and sleep with a man and then expect him to show up and treat me like a high value woman, because a high value woman wouldn't behave like that, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff weaved into this mission statement I'm reading, because that's kind of been my life experience over the past year. But same, you know, with your friends, with your family, with your boss, if you don't have respect for yourself, you're not going to command it from others, okay? By this process, I receive a deep, okay, this is the next section. This is a really powerful section. By this process, I receive a deep, conscious, and meaningful relationship with my partner and my children. Money comes to me both in predictable and unpredictable ways. I always have over and above what I expect. I focus on serving and the commission flows. I have wealth and financial freedom and literacy. My money works for me. I own my time and I spend it doing the things I love. I've paid off my own beautiful dream home, and I have 10 investment properties and counting. I personally make X amount of dollars per month with my business and my investments. I've paid off my mum's home and continue to contribute to her financially because I love to. I have vibrant health and everyday greater wisdom, grace, and spiritual alignment. I nourish my body and my family with beautiful organic produce. My diet is built on an abundant foundation of fresh vegetables with a little good protein and healthy fats, and my body absorbs the nutrients with ease. I limit animal produce and I choose clean and light choices for my body. I limit alcohol and sugar. My body is strong, fit, muscular, and healthy, and my mind is flexible, wise, and intelligent. I am a self-ignited source of light, and I bring sunshine and warmth to people who come into contact with me. I light up a room when I walk in. That's one of my big goals in life, is to bring joy into a room that I walk into, because I'm such an introvert. I can be in my head a lot, and I lived a lot of my years people thinking I was a snob, not friendly, rude, rather than understanding I was just shy. So I really work on that on a daily basis. My children are conscious, connected, confident, and kind, and they possess emotional and financial intelligence. My primary relationship has understanding, balance, and respectful communication skills, and it is filled with love and gratitude. One of the greatest challenges in my previous relationship is we just didn't have good communication skills. So I am manifesting like crazy around that void. And that is one of my highest values now moving forward. And so I'm going to remind myself of that, both for me to work on it, but also to not accept anything less than that from someone who comes into my life. My connection with my mom and sisters is one of openness, love, and understanding. I take an amazing family trip every year. We love our horse. We are safe and well. I have inner peace and I live in a beautiful state. If you've listened to past calls, I've talked about suffering states versus beautiful state. I have meaningful relationships with my friends and family. I have a network of friends who dream big, make a difference, and make life happen for them. They continually inspire me, and I in turn inspire them. My relationship with Adam as a co-parent is one of respectful communication. We have love and trust in one another and uphold each other with integrity to our children and the world. I show how I have changed through my actions. I am calm and I act from love. I win by maintaining my dignity. I have a huge community of empowered women around me, and my business is thriving. I impact women around the world, helping them step into their greatness. My social media is thriving and growing. I travel business class and I have a team all over the world. I show up to my meetings and calls fully present and organized. I'm consciously aware of so much well-being that is happening around me. I establish my own emotional climate, and therefore the actions and words of others have no power over me. I have great posture and carry myself with confidence. A lot of these paragraphs got added in over time because there were things I was being challenged with. So for example, I was allowing certain people in my life to influence my emotional state by what they did or said. And so again, I want to be someone who is in full control of my own emotional state, that it doesn't matter what the words and actions of someone else are, they don't trigger me. So again, I'm reminding myself that I'm receiving that as a result of my purpose to continue to grow as a human being. I'm grateful for the mentors in my life who guide me in my growth. I'm grateful for Gina and Claudine, who are my help in my life, who help me run my home and business. I continue to have help for the tasks I do not wish to do myself. My staff are trustworthy and their lives are impacted positively by working with me. I acknowledge their blessing in my life every day. I'm warm and friendly, and so is the working conditions I uphold. I know all, and again, that's because sometimes I can be so in my head. It's just reminding myself to verbalize my gratitude because I feel it, but to be more extrovert with those things. I know all things work for my highest good. I see people, I watch my tone, I speak with grace, I create inner pause and self-reflect, and when I feel myself becoming unresourceful, I come from love. This disarms any challenges. I always speak with love. I don't need to get my opinions across. I see others' perspectives and allow the space and freedom for them to be them. I love me. I shine and glow, and I'm grounded in who I am. I'm patient, flexible, fun, and free to be me. Okay, so the last bit, which is really important to me, is what I receive in my relationship. And this is quite an intimate part of the text. I may leave some of it out. I'll see how I go reading it. But love and connection is one of my greatest values. And I don't believe you will ever have a strong, fulfilling, long-term relationship if you don't prioritize it and if you don't have a clear vision for it spiritually, mentally, and physically. And so this is very clear, precise vision for the relationship I want in my life, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And it reminds me most of all, it is not a list of how my man needs to be tall and attractive and blue eyes and that bullshit, right? Because that stuff means nothing. It's actually more about what that person brings out in me. Because I truly believe you can be with someone who brings out the best in you, and you can be with someone who brings out the worst in you. So A, I want to find someone who brings out the best in me, but B, I need to remember it's my responsibility to cultivate the best in me regardless. So my king has found me in this relationship. I feel so safe, cherished, uplifted, at ease, a powerful attraction, respected, loved, supported, compassion, and empathy. It's all about how I want to feel, not attributes, okay? Supported, compassion, empathy, ease in communication, fun, flexible, and free. Lots of laughter, intimacy, and trust. And because of this trust, I can be fully open and myself, as can he. I feel accountable to be my best, like we are growing together, in sync and working towards common goals. I feel loyalty and that the space is held for my emotions to run through me when I don't understand them myself. For a man to hold space is a very big growth thing for a man to be able to do. It's top of my list. I know my intellect is valued and trusted. I feel a strong but centered and mature masculine presence. I feel seen and heard, and our feelings are considered and validated mutually. He challenges me, calls me on my shit, sees my gifts, and reflects them back to me. He holds me accountable. He is understanding, but pulls me into line where needed. I'm a little bit strong-willed and hot-headed sometimes. We work at understanding each other, meeting each other's needs, okay? You need to be willing to show up and fulfill your partner's needs, even as long as they're reasonable, obviously, but even if you don't understand why they need them. Resolving conflict gracefully and respectfully, and we give each other the space and freedom we need to thrive. Again, I'm a freedom seeker, but one of the ways many of you might be screwing up your relationships is you try and control your man and you don't give him the space and freedom to do what a man does, which is be free. So my view on this is if you keep controlling him to stop a certain outcome, like strained behavior, you're actually probably more likely to cause it. And if your man loves you enough, he wouldn't cheat when you gave him the freedom. So just give him the freedom and let him show his true colors. That's my take on it, right? Don't be checking phones. Don't be controlling, because you'll ruin your relationship being that way. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to love you more for letting him have freedom. Our passion burns bright. He touches me and kisses me a lot. He welcomes my body crawling onto his in the middle of the night. My body is owned and loved completely by him. This is where it gets like a little bit, might just skip over this bit. I'm blushing. Blah, 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 blah. He makes my body ache for him because of how he shows up in the world. Together, we explore the potentiality of our desire and pleasure. He allows me to love him. He believes he deserves to be honored, respected, and loved deeply. I want a man who commands respect because he knows that he deserves it. He knows his worth and has accepted all that he is and all that he will be. I'm done with the princes. I'm ready for a king. He's playful, laughs often, and isn't afraid to cry. He's open and available for deep transformative love. He's my rock when life gets tough. He does not run and hide and lock me out emotionally when there's a little work that needs to be done. He's emotionally consistent. He protects my heart. He's the kind of man who sweeps me off my feet and makes me feel adored. I trust him implicitly because he earns my trust with the way he talks, behaves, and carries himself in the world. He is driven and has a vast vision for our future and our partnership, and he takes action on his word. He makes decisions that serve our future. He's dedicated to wealth creation for our freedom, experiences, service, and growth. He's kind and thoughtful and intelligent, and he makes me feel so safe and sure of him and our future. He doesn't need me, but he chooses me passionately to be a source of light in his life. I feel committed to, and like the only girl in the world he has eyes for, that I am enough. He makes me feel like a goddess, and he knows and honors my worth, and he values me beyond measure. And in return, he is my king who I serve with joy and love, and I honor him all of his needs every day. I am his queen. I uplift him. We build our freedom empire together, and our union makes a positive ripple through the world, impacting many people. I am his sanctuary. If you want your man to relish in coming home to you, you need to be his sanctuary, not a source of criticism and nagging when he's been at work all day. Like, he needs to come home and just be like, can't wait to be in your arms, because that's where the calm is. That's what the feminine power brings. Okay, so sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that. I am his sanctuary. I bring him peace. I trust him freely. I see him. I hear him. I value him. I support his interests and autonomy. How many of you are guilty of not supporting your man's interests and him being able to do things on his own? I accept him in his weakest moments so he may accept himself. I give him the space to lead, okay? We say that we want a king to lead, but yet we're constantly challenging their leadership, constantly, right? And making them feel like they're not doing a good job and not making good choices, right? So if you want your man to step up, you have to give him the space to. I challenge him only by challenging myself, right? So if you want to inspire and challenge your man to step up, do it by challenging yourself. We bring the best out in each other. We allow ourselves to be impacted by each other. We know our roles in supporting one another. We bring to life each other's gifts by acknowledging them. Our presence is healing to each other. We are each other's safe place and our greatest adventure. We make each other laugh and are playful together. My king embraces my girls. He is playful and kind and firm. He chooses to love them and protect them as he does me, and I embrace his family as though they are my own. Most importantly, and this is the last bit, he makes me feel like I want to be the woman who deserves him, a woman who never stops growing, learning, loving, forgiving, falling, but always picking herself up. A woman who loves herself first and is the most magnificent version of who she was created to be. A woman who knows her worth and what she deserves. A woman who won't settle or be settled for in life and love. A woman who takes full responsibility for her own happiness. So that's a big part of mine, because it's a big part of my life that I'm rebuilding. And I think when we're younger, we fall into relationships because of chemistry and feeling, maybe even convenience and ticking time clock. Like, you know, my previous relationship, there was so much love, so much chemistry, and it was perfect and I wouldn't change it. But now heading into my 40s and this new chapter, I'm a lot more mature and sensible, and sometimes chemistry does not equal bring out the best in you for your future. And so I've spent a lot of time becoming clear on the kind of relationship I want for this next chapter, how I want it to feel, how I want it to be different, how I need to show up differently. I've spent 12 months listening to podcasts about relationships and realizing, because you can only take responsibility for your own stuff, realizing where I went wrong so that I don't repeat those things. And so not only is this a reminder of how I need to show up, but it's also reminding me not to settle when I am dating for something that is less than what I want, because A, it is possible, and B, I don't want to make a choice out of loneliness, which I'm not, because I actually love my own company now. But I don't want to get complacent with that choice or be like, oh my God, there's chemistry, so this must be the one, right? There's definitely some boxes to tick. If you're in a relationship, you can change it by changing how you're showing up, right? And we will make mistakes. There will be times where I don't give my future partner the space to lead, or where I criticize him, or, you know, but if I come back to reading this, I'm going to be like, I can't believe I did that, but this is a new day. And today I'm committed to not doing that, right? But if you're not reminding yourself every day what kind of relationship you want, what vision you have for it, if you're not showing up first, then you can't wing this stuff. You cannot wing a great relationship and be together when you're 80 and have this beautiful love story. The only way you can wing it is if by some miracle you have the exact same values and the exact same communication style and you got freaking lucky. Because my previous relationship, we had completely opposite communication styles, completely opposite values, and we spent a lot of that relationship oblivious to it and wondering why we kept butting our heads against a wall, right? And I think there are cases where people get lucky and they actually just, by some miracle, find someone who slots in easily with how they work and how they see the world, and then it can work. But for the most of us, we actually have to be conscious of this stuff. So hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, this took several hours to really put together. It has evolved. It's gotten longer. This isn't my current one. There's a lot more goals and things for this year in my current one, a lot more personal things. Obviously, when I'm in a relationship, that changes the way the relationship part sounds, but more about just how I'm showing up each day in that relationship and what our relationship and love looks like. Yeah, I hope that you will, because I know not all of you will, unfortunately, but I really, really hope that you will go away over the next week and invest the time to really get this on paper. Are you able to repeat what you start with? So you can watch this back, but it's let's make sure I don't get it wrong. I, Kira Love, state that my primary purpose is what I love to do with my time. In order to fulfill my mission, I have to offer, so your superpowers, and by this process I receive. So what your life looks like because of you showing up to fulfill your mission. And yeah, just remember that you want to go through all of those different areas. So you can hear that I've spoken a lot about my spiritual health, my mental health, my physical health, my relationship health, my financial health, the health of my friendships, you know, my future finances, its present and future. So mine serves me to remind me of the present, who I want to be, but also who I'm becoming. And if we go back to the first statement that I started this with is, you know, create the grandest possible vision for your life because you become what you believe. You know, I know I won't get it right 100% of the time, but I know that's how I will show up in a relationship. And even in dating, I've had so many men say to me, you're the least crazy woman I've ever dated, right? And it's probably not because I am the least crazy. I think we're all crazy, to be honest, women. But it's because I'm like, aligning myself every day, right, with my best self, not my worst self, right? I'm keeping myself in check. I'm keeping myself accountable to how I'm showing up, how I'm communicating, how I'm behaving, communicating like a high value woman, right? Because there is like a ghetto version of me inside too. Don't you worry about that, right? But I don't want to cultivate that part of me. I want to cultivate the graceful, high value version of me. If you've got any other questions and I've missed them, just repost them or bring yourself off mute. If you wanted to share anything or ask any questions. Thanks, Sky. You know, I think everyone has it in them to have the qualities that I talked about in a relationship. So it's not that my past relationship didn't have the potential to be exactly that. Just sometimes we haven't learned how to bring out the best in each other, or maybe your communication styles, or in our case, it was actually our wounds. We had wounds that were very triggering to each other's wounds. So what was very deeply hurtful to me and him, our behaviors and triggers, they weren't compatible, and we'd probably done too much damage before we became aware of that and how to work on that. So I think whatever relationship you're in right now, there's always hope and possibility for it to be exactly what I've read, because we all have those qualities, right? We all have the light and the dark. We all have the, you know, the graceful, inspiring, compassionate, empathetic version, and then we all have that version where we're the complete opposite of it, right? So it's up to us to cultivate more of the good stuff and to learn how to bring out the best in the person that we're with. And I think we all have a responsibility, like that's choosing love every day. Love is a choice. I don't believe love is just something that happens. I think chemistry happens, but love is a choice. And to me, that is loving, choosing every day to be that version, to give space and freedom. And, you know, it's been even interesting in dating. I've experimented some of the things that I've learned this year in how to bring out the best in a man. And I've literally had them verbalize that to me, like that I inspire them and the best version of them. And it's like they don't know they're a part of my little experiment. But, but like just, you know, when you want to see more of something, you really compliment it. And then like, you know, in a really, you know, just elegant, soft way so they don't kind of see what you're doing. But I've done that a lot, and it's amazing how much more they step up in that thing that you've complimented. So we really can learn how to build a man up into their greatness and into their version of being a king. If you constantly beat them up, you're not going to get that empowered version of them. All right, well, if there's no questions, I will let you guys go and get cracking on this, because hopefully you're really inspired. Just what I did, if I'm honest, and this is how my creativity flows, is I just wrote just so many lines and words. I didn't care about it making sense and flowing. I just got my ideas out on paper, and then I went away and had a breather, and the next day I pieced it together. And then every day that you read it, you might be like, oh, that doesn't really sound right. And you've got a more inspired way of writing it or whatever. So don't think that I've got to get it finished by this time, or it's not finished, so I'm not going to read it. Like, just every morning, get up to what you've already got and work on it, right? And then it will be a masterpiece one day that's going to keep evolving still anyway. I will put the recording up this afternoon, tonight. I've got to run now. But I would advise you guys to go watch the first version, because it was fresher in my mind a year ago. I haven't taught this for a year, whereas I did it right after I was taught it. So I'm probably said a lot of different things that will inspire you in other ways. I think it's the third training on my Empowered YouTube channel. So you might want to watch that one back anyway and get like a different version. I would love for you guys to reach out and tell me how this impacts your life. Please let me know, because it really lights me up to receive, you know, messages from you guys. And that it really is the thing that fuels me to keep showing up, is those messages. So please stay in touch with me. I look forward to hearing how this helps you. And yeah, looking forward to an amazing year with you guys and bringing you awesome content this year. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Kira.
Thanks so much.
So
Kira.
welcome.
Amazing.
Bye, everyone.
Get it.